Mercury retrograde has not been kind to me this round, friends. I have filmed this video thrice already. And that's a nod to one of the decks in this video. If you get it, you get it. If you know, you know. The first two videos I filmed, I annoyed myself in editing. I was just like, I just can't handle myself. And then the last one was too long. So we're doing a little space cleansing. We're starting this one fresh. Mercury retrograde. Please be my friend. Please just let me make it through this. This is the only 10 indie decks. Hashtag VR. To Meg at Rose Honey Ritual and Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot. We're going to start right away. Get this over with. The first deck, it's in a cubby up there. It stays there all the time. So I want to do it before I forget about it. It is the Saint Soleil Lucid Dreams Beginner Tarot. Lots of names. This deck is just a stunner. I love it. I love the color palette. I love the aesthetic. Like, here's our 10 of Swords, and it's just lovely. Also, this is a great example of the cardstock. It's not linen because it's quite thick. It's a very thick cardstock, but it has a texture to it. I don't know how to explain it. It's a dream to shuffle. You've probably noticed it has the keywords on it for upright and reversal. So upright, and it also has the astrological and elemental symbols reversed. Flips over the astrological and elemental symbols. Beauty. I love it. It's also a dream to shuffle. It's got a bit of a bow, like it kind of curves. And for that, it shuffles, I don't know, it shuffles really well. I don't mind this type of bow. It's when they bow like in the, like all the four, I don't know. It's weird. This type of bow is fine, is what I'm getting at. That's deck number 1. These are in no particular order, by the way. It's just kind of how I'm going. That being said, I am saving the lengthiest deck for last. Second on my list, the unofficial Shitty Tarot. This deck makes me so happy. I'd hate myself if I made a whim decision to not include this. It just... I love Schitt's Creek. And oh my gosh, right away we have one of my favorite cards in the entire deck. So well done. Case in point. This deck is so well done. The scenes that they decided to depict, they being Heidi Page, Ashley Brock, illustrations by Matt Edwards. This was a Kickstarter, so that's where I purchased it. Now I believe you have to go to the website Hippie Juju Boutique to get this deck if you want your hands on it. Yeah, just makes me so happy. It is a linen cardstock, and it's a dream to shuffle as well. They just did such a great job. Like, I could honestly gush about this deck for hours. And like I said, they chose the scenes in the show with the meanings of the cards perfectly. So that's the unofficial Shitty Tarot for deck number 2. Third one is going to be an Oracle deck. There's only 2 Oracle decks in this video because I think I only have 4 indie Oracle decks total. 2 of them made the video. This one's also not in the box because it lives on my dresser. This is the Reclaim Oracle by Little Dark Press? Little Darkness Press? Drawing a blank. This deck is like therapy. I think every human being on earth should have to partake in therapy. And I'm not saying this deck replaces that at all, but this is my therapy deck. I feel like this deck should be shared. It absolutely should be shared. My issue, I do not read for money with tarot. I will do pick a card readings privately with my friends. And if I have like a girls' weekend or something, I will bust out a tarot deck, and usually we'll have a good time. Not usually, occasionally. That's only an occasional thing when I get the balls to say, does anyone want a reading? My issue is I can't bring myself to do a pick a card reading with this deck because I feel like some of these cards require some unpacking. And I feel like this deck is a very personal, very individual experience. And having it in a pick a card video seems very impersonal. Like, look, imagine getting this card in a pick a card video. How do I unpack that? You know, I feel like I would like to be in person with those kinds of card pulls. Again, not that I'm a therapist, not that I have any kind of confidence in myself to be able to talk someone through a triggering card like that. But it just, you know, pulling that card in a YouTube video and then hitting stop on the record button and walking away, I don't know, isn't my style. So if you have the Reclaim Oracle and you do use it for pick a card readings, I would love to hear how it goes for you. I would love to hear what your experience has been with that. And here we have the Dark Mansion. This deck is primarily on this list because, first of all, it's got like some of my favorite backings. I'm just leaving the title cards and whatever there. Also, I just have a funny relationship with this deck. This deck is really like cheeky with me, really sassy with me. And for that reason, it's here. That being said, I have learned not to ask certain questions of this deck. I asked in a relationship question and oof, boy, did it give it to me. It didn't tell me anything I didn't know, but it told me what I didn't want to hear. So that's what I mean. And for that reason, this deck doesn't get used that often because I'm terrified of what it's going to tell me. If I'm not ready for the answer, I'm not pulling this deck. Also, the rose petal finish, like there's 2 cards here. But you can't grab just one with a rose petal finish. So that kind of irks me a little bit. I know that the more you use it, the better that gets. Supposedly, I have not had that experience yet. This is my only, oh, that's a lie. I have an indie oracle deck that's rose petal finish that I have the same kind of irkedness with. So there we have the Dark Mansion Tarot by Taroteca Studios. And there was a time when that was the most expensive deck on my shelf. Those were the days. And similarly, the Oak, Ash, and Thorn by Three Trees Tarot. But I have the opposite relationship with it. This deck is my sweetie pie. This is my sweet deck. It's just adorable. It is so cute. I love Adam Oler's art. Love it. And this is like having a collection of someone's art on a bunch of little tiny cards. Sometimes that's how I feel about tarot. Like, I love this person's artwork. This individual's artwork. I don't know their pronouns. It's amazing. This deck also reminds me of my family that I have up north. I go up north every holiday to visit, and all these critters are there. They're up north. These backdrops are up north. So this deck reminds me of that place. These animals remind me of that place. If I had the Walking Meditation Tarot, I think it would take the place of this deck for that reason, but I don't have the Walking Meditation Tarot. So, yeah, this is here. Next we have the Divine Feminine by Cocorina. This cardstock, I mean, it's a runner. Like, it is so, it's like trying to hold on to water. It's super slippy and glidey. I mean, it's a very lovely, buttery, fluid experience in your hands. But at the same time, I can't tell you how many times I've dropped these cards. But they're beautiful. And part of the reason why this deck is in this list, the main reason why this deck is in this list, is because of the readings that I get with it. I feel like this deck knows me. The responses I get are something else. And I also don't use this deck too often for that reason, because I have to be ready to hear what it has to say or what it has to tell me. I have to be prepared for that. And sometimes you're not, you know? So it doesn't get pulled out very often. But it's a lovely experience. I also wouldn't take this deck anywhere. Like, I feel like I need to use it in a safe space where if I drop it, it's not going to land in a puddle or in a pile of dirt or anything that'll ruin it. So I had to have Harry Potter represented in my only 10 indie decks, and this deck is not it. Psych. I just wanted to show you. This is one of my options for having a Harry Potter deck in my only 10 indie decks. The reason why this one is not it is because it's quite serious. I don't want to say it's solemn. Oh my God, fantastic. But this is like a kick in the gut reader. This is the HP Tarot by Paper de Lune. This deck is still in print, but changes have been made. It's not glossy cardstock anymore. It's like a matte cardstock, and the backs are different as well. I personally love these backs. I also love the new upgraded backs, but I like these ones. Yeah, this deck, I don't know, these cards just hit me in the feels. Brings me right back to these moments in the movie. But the one that did make the cut is the Little Wizard's Tarot by Push Kitty. The reason this one won, what do we got going on here? These are all of the extras. The reason why this deck won was because it's just cuter. It's less painful. And let's get it, whoops, smash my elbow and get closer. It's not as kick in the gutty as the other one. It's cute. I'm also having like a mini deck moment in my life at the moment. So I don't know. I think for an indie deck on my indie top 10 list, a kick in the gut deck, I don't know. As much as I love the other one, this one's just cute. It's cuter. I don't know. I would prefer it. Don't really have an explanation for you. I don't know. There might be days when I would prefer the kick in the gut deck. You know, sometimes you have those days. But today, and every other day I have filmed this video, it's been the cutesy one. This deck, I bought myself a 40th birthday present. It was, shocker, a tarot deck. This one was expensive, but because it was my 40th birthday, I was willing to spend the money. It also gives me the best 40th birthday vibes for me. It's the Badass Tarot. I want this deck to go down in history as the deck I got myself for my 40th birthday. And I think it's so fitting. As an Aquarius, this deck is so me. Now, there are some cards in here that I am not quite prepared to show on my channel, so hopefully I'm kind of giving myself a little mini preview. I also did this in the previous filmings of this video, and I failed. So I'm really gonna try this time. They're just funny. They are so hilarious. And I did a pick a card reading with my friends, Maud Wagner, the first female US tattoo artist, the first documented anyway. I did a pick a card reading with my friends with this deck. And, you know, I did use a disclaimer. I did say, like, this deck is not for everyone. And I had other deck options to choose from if they did not want to pick this one, and they all loved this deck. So again, I would not ask it certain questions. I think with this deck, there's a time and a place. There's a mood. The nanny, perfect. Yeah, so you just really kind of have to gauge when an appropriate time to use this deck is for other people. For myself, obviously, I know. But in a pick a card video, it's definitely, you want to have other options. But I also know my friends, and I know that they would love this deck. And they did. Shocker. There's a couple cards that I'm kind of waiting on here. I really enjoy the Lover card. Lovers. I enjoy the Death card. This one makes me laugh. I think that's an excellent modern representation of the Three of Swords. Same. This is one of my favorite Chariot cards, the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas card. Also very modern. There is also, I am looking for the Emperor. I think this is great for an Emperor card. We got some I Love Lucy happening. Yeah, just a really fun, edgy deck that I hope will go down in history years and years and years from now as the deck I bought myself for my 40th birthday. There is another version of this that I, full disclosure, like the court cards so much better in. And I did consider buying it as well and switching out the court cards, but for the cost, I had to go to eBay to get this in Canada. She doesn't ship to Canada anymore. So I had to go to the old eBay and spend a crap ton of money. So it wasn't worth it for me to do that again. Second last one, we're going to do our last oracle. And I'm going to have some splaining to do. I have a new pouch coming for this deck from a Kickstarter campaign that I cannot wait for. And when I receive it, let me tell you, the aesthetic Instagram posts are coming. Hellenic Oracle by our Thea, Garden Goddess Tarot. I'm doing a study, in case you can't tell. We'll get to that in a second. This deck, it is an experience to shuffle. I will often just shuffle this deck while I'm watching TV at night to make playing cards, cardstock, lovely. Also a little buttery, not nearly as bad as the Divine Feminine, but a very lovely experience as well. I love Greek mythology. I loved it when I was younger, and then I just went on a Greek mythology hiatus, not on purpose, for zero reason whatsoever, other than I had no reason to study it. I got, I don't know, lazy with it, I guess. And here we have this deck. Enter, oh my god, have I been doing this off? That's one of my own personal YouTube pet peeves. Enter Hellenic Oracle. This deck has done for me what tarot did for me at the start of the pandemic. I was feeling very stagnant. I was obviously cooped up in the house, nothing to do, nowhere to go. And I decided to learn tarot. I was introduced to oracle decks fairly early on in the pandemic, and I told myself I would never do tarot because it scared me. Just like even the learning aspect of it intimidated me is probably a more accurate word to use. And learning tarot ignited something in me. Like it brought me back to life. And then, after I've been learning tarot for a year and a half now, almost, and 2.5 years. And I'm kind of at that place again where I'm a little stagnant. This deck and learning Greek mythology has brought me back into that drive to learn. Hence this. So what I'm doing here is I've put them into chronological order. Just this chunk, these ones I haven't even sorted through yet. This is even not entirely chronological order because I'm pretty sure there might be some second generation Titans still in here. I'm not sure. Yeah, there must be. So I'm starting with number 1, Chaos. And then the people that she created, or the deities that she created. And then the Titans, and then the second generation Titans. And one of these is children of a first generation Titan, which would be second generation Titans. This black chunk, I think, is the Olympians. So I've just kind of organized them into chunks to get myself ready to study. Step 1 is to learn all the deities in this deck. Learn about them, learn their myths, learn what they are the god of. Then, step 2, which is going to be the tricky part for me, is going to be put them in a divination context. And I am a very literal person. I would not consider myself very deep. So that's going to be a challenge. The last deck on my list, the Ritual Tarot. My relationship status with this deck is, it's complicated. I have talked about this deck before. I've talked about the cardstock specifically. I do love the cardstock. I love how the cardstock feels. This is another slippery, slidey one. Not as much as the Hellenic Oracle, which, as we recall, is not as much as the Divine Feminine. It feels good. This cardstock feels lovely. It also chips like crazy. We'll get there. In the last version of this video, I had this moment where I hit the nail on the head with myself for what this deck does for me. This deck is an experience. Can you tell we're talking about the Ritual Tarot? Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. A la Ross from Friends. This deck is an experience for me. I saw this deck months ago. First of all, I got it in the mail around December 5th. Months prior to that, I saw this deck. And when I saw the price of it, that kind of stopped me right in my tracks. And I was like, not doing that. And I kind of forgot about it, stopped thinking about it. And then I saw a card posted, this card actually, wow, timing, on Thea's Instagram, and I was instantly like, oh no. Oh no. So then I started looking into this deck a little more, and yeah, I had to do it. So in order to do it, I made a financial sacrifice. I feel like a broken record every time I talk about this, but if this is your first time here, welcome. I made a financial sacrifice for 1 month. I stopped buying something in order to save for this deck. I also did not pay full price for this deck. It was 10 or 15% off. I cannot remember, one of the two. I think it worked out to like $10. So that would be 10% off. This is one of my favorite cards, but it gives me king vibes, even though it's a knight. And I think that's a Thoth thing. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know anything about Thoth. So part of me feels like I have no business owning a deck like this because there is a lot of Thoth influence, because there's no titles. This just feels so, quote, advanced. Don't come at me, but it gives me advanced tarot reader vibes. And that, my friends, I am not. But I went for it. And part of the allure was that it didn't have any titles. I loved that. Oh, one of my favorite tower cards. I love Fierce Kitty up there. This is a great tower card. Yeah, so I did make a financial sacrifice. I did not pay full price. The discount I got was minor. It was a sale she was having on her Etsy. It wasn't a special price just for me. It was a sale price for everyone. Love them. I also put a huge effort into my deck study for this deck. The most effort I have ever put in to any deck ever. I have not yet read the guidebook. That is intentional. I will one day, but I kind of wanted to develop my own relationship with these cards, with these artifacts, because I'm not well versed in the artifacts either. Like, I have no idea who that is. I might. But I wanted to develop my own relationship first and then dive into the meaning of the cards. Let's talk about this since we're here. Meg did a video recently-ish where she talked about how you can see where the wet glue marks left ripples. I'm losing my light here. It's quite stormy. It's not even that late, but it's really stormy, so we're dark. The second Meg pointed that out, I was like, no! It was something I've not noticed, and I was like, that's it for me. I can't unsee that. But guess what? I did a draw, several card pull with this deck a few days later. Never thought about it. It wasn't until after that I was like, oh yeah, the wrinkles. Turns out I can unsee it. Also, I decided I don't care. One of the things that drew me to this deck was that this is someone's artwork. Someone's blood, sweat, and tears went into this in a more literal way than, let's say, an AI deck, okay? That requires effort, I guess. Maybe. I don't know what's involved in that. But someone used scissors and glue and a camera to make this deck. I am a sucker for someone putting in crafty effort into something, into anything. Pottery, same thing. Like, I tried pottery. It's hard. Mine was wobbly as shit. I could not do it. So I will pay the money for pottery. I get you. I see you. So yeah, with the ripples, with the obvious cutouts, I don't care. It just goes to show this is someone's art. Someone made this. Someone painstakingly cut out each one of those coins. Someone used glue to glue down each one of these swords. And I kind of love it. I actually super love it. And when I was watching Meg's video, I kind of forgot that. Like, I kind of got hyped up on the, oh yeah, like glue marks, and I don't understand. Like, this card is not my favorite. Although this card is never my favorite in every deck. So it's an unfair comparison. But then I did my reading with it and I was like, no, I do just love it. Do I have issues with this deck? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have little issues with every deck that I own. This one just stings a little more because of how much money it was. So now because I've lost so much light, or the clouds have taken so much light away from me, rather, I don't know if this will show. I recently edged this deck because of the chipping. I had to edge it in black. I kind of had plans to do, like, if you fan these out, there's this prevalent blue color. I initially wanted to do that, and then I was like, that's a little too risky for me. So I wanted to do this like goldy bronzy color. Whoops, that's not goldy bronzy. There we go. And then I started to see that this was happening, and I thought, oh no, I have to, it doesn't look nearly as bad in this lighting. There's more down here. I have pictures in my December wrap-up video if you really want to see how horrendous it was, and I hardly shuffled it. Like, I maybe riffle shuffled this 15 times. And that it was chipping like crazy. And the thing that also really upsets me about that is that I baby my decks. There's a tag, my disheveled decks. I can't participate in it because I don't have any. I don't have any disheveled decks because I baby them. I take care of these things because I want them to last. They are an investment for me in some cases, maybe some mass market decks, not so much, but these ones are an investment. They are things that I made a sacrifice to buy this deck. So the fact that that was happening so quickly and so easily was very frustrating for me. Would I buy this deck again? That depends. I do have a tag called Decks I Would Rebuy, and spoiler alert, this deck is in it. But it definitely depends, because if I forgot this deck on a park bench somewhere and walked away, and then it was gone, I would be so angry with myself. I don't know if I could buy it again, because I feel like it would be a reminder of that anger, and that goes for any deck. Maybe not a mass market deck because they're cheaper and they're easily accessible, but you've spent time building a relationship with those cards, with those individual pieces of artwork. I'm building relationships with these. They're building relationships with me. I know this is just a piece of paper, but that's how it feels sometimes. And I would be so sad if I forgot this deck on a park bench. If I lost this deck in another way, a less controllable way, maybe. It would not be on the immediate list of deck replacements, but maybe. And again, I would be saving up for it, and I would probably take my sweet ass time saving up for it. Like, it would be like $20 here, $20 there, maybe 30 this time. It wouldn't be my immediate purchase, because it did sting to buy this deck. Not gonna lie. Tierra May is super cool beans. I've had interactions with her on Instagram. Just little ones here and there talking about dreams. I thoroughly enjoy her as a person. There have been other indie deck creators that I have messaged that straight up haven't even messaged me back. And they were important messages, like, where's my deck? Or, I would like to order this, but I don't see it on your website. Or even just the odd Instagram comment. Tierra May is just super interactive. And I don't know, that makes her relatable. I don't want to say relatable, but it makes her cool beans, okay? Just deal with it. Also, don't edge in black Crayola. Heed my warning. There we have it. That's my 10 decks. Who's going to come out on top? That is a video I will be making. And this time around, it's actually a little bit easier because I'm taking the stats as the videos get posted. Whereas the other two I did I had to go back and rewatch them in some cases, or they were all still there for me to watch. Like, I had to start from zero. And that was a little bit daunting. So this time around, I'm able to watch the videos as people are posting them and collect the stats that way. I think this will be a better experience for me. I don't think I'll be as stressed out about collecting stats. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I collect stats on certain VRs and see which decks come out on top. Which deck do people mention the most? And I usually do a countdown. It's very interesting. And this one I think will be very interesting because I don't think, I mean, never say never, but I don't think the first place deck will be even in the top 10, I'm going to say. I haven't watched too many videos, so I'm not spoiling anything, but I don't think it'll be in the top 10. We shall see though. Again, this video won't be posted for a while because the ball's just kind of getting rolling with this hashtag. So I'm going to wait a couple of months, give people a chance to get their responses in, and then I'll post it. So keep your eyes peeled for that. In the meantime, keep fit and have fun. If you're Canadian, Hal Johnson, Joanne McLeod. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being part of my little tarot tube corner, and I'll see you when I see you.